Hello and welcome to the Uncapped Podcast, brought to you by Roasthouse Pub, one of Frederick's finest craft beer and culinary destinations, where great people come to drink amazing beer. Visit them to track their taps and menu at roasthousepub.com or download the digital Pour app to track what's on tap. This is episode 99, and I'm your host, Chris Sands. We have a full studio this week with two people from, I guess we'll say, Grow and Fortify first, representing the Brewers Association of Maryland. Kelly Dudeck.
Hello.
Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay. And Jim Bauckman.
Hi, Chris.
So why don't you tell everyone what you are and what you do first?
Sure. I'm the Director of Strategy for Grow and Fortify. We've been around for going on 5 years. Grow and Fortify represents value-added agriculture producers, growers, and operators in Maryland. And by value-added, we mean when you're taking a raw agricultural commodity, modifying it or altering it to make it
something
more
useful, like alcohol.
Yeah, and typically more profitable. So hops to beer, wine to grapes, but also cucumbers to pickles and milk to cheese. And the list in Maryland goes on and on and on. And so, yes, we represent Brewers Association of Maryland, the Maryland Wineries Association, the Maryland Distillers Guild, and then we work with other value-added producers in Maryland.
Precisely.
But you didn't say what you do for them.
Oh, I am the new communications manager at Grow and Fortify.
And then also in the room is Eric Gleason, brewmaster, head brewer, chief
Pumbaa.
ninja at Barley and Hops. And why are you here?
I was invited.
Oh, okay.
They said bring beer.
So
The closest dude in town with beer.
Yeah.
Basically, Jim just wanted to try a couple of your new releases, and
Without standing, in line or paying for it.
all right. Well, that's a good enough reason for me. I believe there's more of a reason than that, but I guess we'll get to that in a little bit. So first, I guess the first thing let's talk about is the Maryland Craft Beer Competition, which is taking place when?
This Saturday. Judging takes place tomorrow at Calvert Brewing Company.
Right, tomorrow.
We have a long day ahead of us.
And how many tell us about the competition? It's annual, right?
Yeah, I'll start by just saying the Brewers Association in general, we have over 100 breweries in Maryland. We have about 25 or 30 that are in planning and hoping to open their doors in the next year or two. We tend to, I think, attend a ribbon cutting a couple times a month, sometimes weekly here in Maryland. And so the Maryland Craft Beer Competition is the one competition we have a year for all of our brewers to submit. We have up to 10. They can submit up to 10 different beers in a variety of categories. I think we're at 18 categories this year. And best of my recollection, I reached out to Hugh Sisson the other night to say, I just don't know the history of the competition that much because the association has changed hands. He thinks it's been around 12 years. Mm-hmm. Does that sound right to you guys? Yeah. And he of course, he remembered that the very first Best in Show went to Loose Cannon. So year one. But so this year, Jim, you want to talk about the entries this year?
Yeah, sure. So this year we have more entries than the competition has ever seen, with 246 entries. Like Kelly said, we've got 18 categories of entry. We had nearly...
Do you have defined categories that you're requesting submissions from, or do you base the categories by what has been submitted?
The categories are set up through BJCP judging standards.
Okay.
And then they all have subcategories that will eventually fall into them based on where the submissions land.
We changed it a little bit, I guess 2 years ago now, because there were like 40 some different categories in it, and we were giving away a slew of medals because we'd get 2 entries in one category.
Yeah.
And we really looked at them and thought, here in Maryland, what's the trend? What's the style? What are we getting the most of? And that's when we talked to the association about it and formed a competition committee to narrow that down. And so this year, for example, we added hazy juicy IPA to the list. BJCP and Brewers Association also added that to theirs, but we'll modify it as trends change, I think.
Do you know that is the number one beer consumption growth for women?
I did not know that.
That's
and
actually pretty fascinating.
That surprises me because not many women that I know like a hazy, juicy IPA.
And that's from Julia Hers at the Brewers Association.
Interesting.
And I don't think she would lie to us.
Mm-mm.
Well, regarding the competition and how the committee forms stuff, Eric actually sits on the competition committee for the Brewers Association of Maryland, and he was able to...
See, there's a good reason for you to be here.
Precisely.
I know some stuff.
It wasn't just about free beer. We spoke as a committee earlier this year about which categories in the marketplace were the ones that were going to give Maryland breweries the most amount of exposure and the most amount of market impact if they were able to win in those categories. So it was a no-brainer for us to adopt the Juicy Hazy category. We fleshed out a local ingredient category, meaning that the brewery has to brew their beer with 100% local Maryland ingredients. And we did a couple of other arrangements with wild ales and fruit beers to make some really nice sour categories and fruit-specific categories.
I will say, though, so we had 246 this year. Easily a third of the entries are IPAs. So between American, English, double, I think we have specialty IPA and hazy juicy. They make up a large amount of the entries that we get.
Our judges are going to be done with hops tomorrow.
Do that in the afternoon so you can actually taste the beer in the morning.
We have to start with them to get through them so we know who advances to the afternoon.
What's the second most popular group of submissions?
If I was looking at them again last night, I think local ingredient is actually up there pretty high. We started that last year. We tried to encourage our brewers to enter a beer that was made with some local ingredient. We didn't put a number on it, and that category was huge last year. And this year we actually upped it based on the competition committee suggesting that be a 100% Maryland ingredient, and it's still a large category. That and pale ale.
Yeah, pale ale was very big this year compared to last year, and it looked as though the mixed fermentation stuff really was starting to take a hold. So there's some really creative brewing out there using different types of yeast and mixed fermentation.
The local ingredient beers have definitely become a lot better in the last couple of years. It was like when that trend first started, like they weren't bad, but there just wasn't a whole lot of flavor there. But all the ones I've had this year were really good.
Well, we have some really great malt houses in the state. We have a lot of hop farms and people that are really taking the time to develop their agricultural process to make good quality ingredients for the brewing industry.
Yeah, so you can, that's what I'm saying. You can definitely tell that they've improved the quality of their product over the past couple of years.
Absolutely.
So who's doing the judging for the competition?
We've got a mixed group of judges. This is the highest, I guess we'll call them
ranked.
Yeah, it's the best turnout we've had for BJCP judges in terms of ranking and competency. There, the BJCP has all these levels.
Yeah,
we have a bunch of like national grandmasters, national master judges on this one. We got a really great turnout from the judges, which I think kind of bolsters the idea that this competition is doing a lot more for the industry. It's more important to the judges to be there. We have some folks that are not BJCP recognized judges, but are, certified through sensory training or work for retailers that are primarily focused on serving great craft beer. And then we have some civilians out there to help round it out and give us an opinion that's a little bit way more objective than what a judge might have in their mind.
So people with way better palates than what I have.
Probably.
I mean,
you know Chris better than I have to say.
No, Chris has a great palate. He just likes to taste everything. And you don't judge much. You're like you tend to like a lot of beer. You don't critique much. That's a good thing.
Well, if I do, it's often internally
and off the air.
Yeah.
We've talked about adding a second competition in our yearly lineup. That is sort of a one-off. Like every year we would pick a different style for all of our brewers to submit. And I think it would be great if our brewers were the ones to judge that competition, sort of a peer review.
As a brewer, would you be into that?
I'd be all over it. That'd be fun. Like we all get together and like, hey, let's brew this and see how we do.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
What should our first style be?
I don't know. I think we should open it up. Everyone's going to say, make a New England IPA, but I think that would be boring.
We should do a New England IPA in like 12 years and see how that stands up.
Yeah. But no, I mean, that's the hot style. That's probably
Pilsner.
the one that that would be the natural, logical choice.
It would probably be in the winter.
A peanut butter and jelly lager.
Fail.
Hey, we get together with Maryland's grape growers and we could use some local grapes. That would be awesome.
See?
That'd be fun.
It's a much better idea than you tried to give it credit for it.
We actually have people growing peanuts in Maryland, too.
Well, there you go.
See, it could be an all Maryland ingredient beer also. You wanted to hate on it right away.
I didn't.
He said it would be fun.
I'm picky about beer, man. I know. My first thing was like, we should turn it over to the group, and it will be fun.
So Saturday, the judging's taking place, and then the winners will be announced when?
The following Saturday at our first annual event called Revive, which is a food and beer pairing event that's taking place at the Shrine of St. Anthony in Ellicott City.
And how nicely that rolls right into the second topic to talk about today.
Works out beautifully, doesn't it?
So what is Revive exactly?
Kelly, why don't you take this one?
Sure.
This is your baby, right?
This is my baby. Yeah, and I'm so excited that it's actually going to happen a week from tomorrow, August 25th. So I'm sure a few of you in the room have been to Savor, which is an event put on by the Brewers Association.
I've never been there.
You're kidding.
It looks too fancy for me.
It's a little fancy, and that's what we were going for with this as well.
I go to, there's a festival in Pittsburgh called the Big Pour. I used to go to that because it's like a blue collar savor where it's in like a warehouse. Like one of those recycled construction, reuse, recycle warehouses.
Right.
And it's all like hamburgers and like.
It's funny that you use the term blue collar.
Date, please.
It's in August or September. It's coming up soon.
We'll have to look into that.
We might have to look at a road trip, man.
Yeah, it's good. It's gotten really expensive, but it's good. And you don't have to dress up.
You don't have to dress up for ours either.
No, I was comparing it to Savor. So sorry, I cut you off.
That's fine.
My bad.
So we were looking.
But you do want people to dress up.
It would be fun.
Okay.
It would be nice. I think the location and the subject matter call for it. And that's what we were trying to do. We're trying to elevate the perception of Maryland beer.
So people like me are not welcome.
No, people like you are absolutely welcome, because that's who we want this to be sort of a crossover audience between foodies and beer lovers and, people, probably wine people who might look at this, take a second look at it because of the way that we're presenting it.
I meant like more like lower class.
We'll keep class out of it.
We're happy to have everybody at Revive.
Oh, it's an all-inclusive. Okay.
We're
so long as they are excited about the food and the beer.
Gotcha.
Right. So we wanted to shine a spotlight on some of the best of the best. So we are highlighting the winners from last year's Maryland Craft Beer Competition. We have 16 different beers that are being featured there, 16 different categories, and all of them are paired with a equally creative dish from a picked restaurant in Maryland. So there's going to be sort of stations throughout the evening of a beer and a restaurant paired together, which is one of the reasons that Eric is here. And before we talk about some of those pairings, I just want to say to go back to the reason that we're doing it, I think that there is this, and it's not wrong, but there's this perception that beer is a little bit more of a blue collar, or dare I use the word pedestrian type of drink, because we use terms like throw one back. We have lawnmower beers, we have shower beers, we drink beer wherever and whenever we can. But there really is a craft and a refinement to it when we're talking about independent craft brewers. And it's evident in the beers that they're making. And we really wanted to show that they can be high end. And we're pairing them with very high-end dishes in a extraordinary location, backdrop.
And I think when you see how these beers have been paired with food, you can definitely tell that not only do the creative opportunities explode inside the brew house when these guys are selecting hops and yeast varieties to make these really delicious, tasty beverages, but you can see how it can also spark the creativity of somebody who's been challenged to come up with a dish that's going to work well with them. And I think that that's a really neat kind of draw into the quality aspect of what's going on. It's hard
I thought
to
you were
make.
going to say they also explode in your mouth.
Yes.
But
Well, Eric's beer will explode in your mouth. I have tasted it, and I can guarantee you that will happen.
Like a fruit gusher.
Kind of.
we should have Eric
With rooster sauce.
Rooster sauce.
So Barley and Hops took home the gold last year in the spiced beer category, and those of you who know Eric know that he very rarely brews the same beer twice. So
Well, that's because most of them have orders to not make it again involved with them.
Hey, now. That's marketing, not brewing. So we're
Yes.
clear.
what was the name of the beer you won with?
It was called Mexican Pointy Bits.
Yes, Mexican
It was a
Pointy Bits.
mole
So
stout.
yeah,
It was a fantastic beer.
That was good.
That was a really good one.
Which
I was
would have
not
been fun to
expecting-
pair.
I wouldn't have expected to like that one. Well,
Makes
I
a
didn't
bitchin'
expect to
chili.
like it, but it was really good.
Yeah. So Eric decided to brew a special spiced beer for this event in particular, and then we paired him with the White Oak Tavern in Ellicott City. And Eric, why don't you describe your beer? Because only you can describe this beer,
It's a weird beer.
which
so-
we're not drinking right now, but we will be.
I brought one with me. We
Right.
can try it in a little bit. I decided to try to make something that was more seasonal. The mole stout was great in like January when you wanted a big inky, rich, chocolate full stout. But for the summer, figuring this event was August, wanted to go something a little bit lighter but still have a lot of flavor. So the original concept was going to be an horchata. But then our chef released a new menu that had a lot of Asian-themed ingredients on it, and I thought putting a Mexican beer with all this Asian doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So we decided to make a Thai spiced lager. So it's Pilsner. The grist is Pilsner, spelt, and flaked rice, and then we decided to add kind of like a curry of ingredients just to kind of give it some more depth and almost like a Penang. So I gotta grab my list because I don't really remember it all.
Lemongrass.
Yeah, there's lemongrass,
Ginger.
galangal, which is like a blue ginger, coconut, kaffir lime, tamarind, sambal oelek, which is kind of like sriracha on steroids, palm sugar, lactose, Thai chili pepper. There's probably something else in there. But depending on how you layer in all those flavors, that's kind of how you make a curry. And the idea is to make not one ingredient stand out. It's to balance, and you get a little bit of it. So the heat that's in there from the Thai chili peppers is a building heat. It's back here. Sorry, I didn't mean to whack your mic. And it'll kind of like get progressively hotter. And every time you take a sip, you'll have a little bit of a different experience. So the idea is that, it'll pair with Jake's crab cakes and, his tuna poke and all that kind of thing.
But what you are being paired with.
What I'm being paired with is from White Oak Tavern. I forgot my cheaters. It is a shrimp and garlic steamed dumpling filled with shrimp, cabbage, carrots, scallions, and Thai basil served with a lemongrass coconut milk sauce. So the flavors are complementary.
Amazing. Yeah. So, and the way it's going to work is
Wait, real quick though,
Yeah.
since we're speaking of beer pairings,
Oh, and I
let's
brought
take
Chris
a
a
real.
poster.
I said 1 moment, please.
I was going to keep it the poster now.
Where's John to pop up from the background?
Sorry, I mean interrupt.
Well, while we're talking about beer and food pairings, let's take a moment to thank our sponsors and the people who make thank Roasthouse Pub, who's a master of beer and food pairings, for helping the Uncapped podcast exist.
who also
A huge
is
thank you to
participating in the event, I should say. They are paired with Jailbreak Brewing. And in the competition is their Hefeweizen, the Feed the Monkey.
Awesome. A huge thank you to our presenting sponsor, Roasthouse Pub, which is located at 5700 Urbana Pike in Frederick, Maryland. If you heard me go on and on about the beer dinners that Chef Nico creates, simply put, they are amazing. But Roasthouse Pub has much more to offer. Their friendly staff is knowledgeable about beer and will help you choose from among the 20 beers they have on tap. In addition to the awesome beer selection, the food is always amazing. Make sure to follow them on Facebook and check their website at www.roasthousepub.com to keep up to date on their constant stream of events. And thank you to our supporting sponsor, Craft Alliance Packaging Solutions. Craft Alliance Packaging Solutions has been serving the craft beverage industry since 2012 and prides itself in helping their customers excel in a constantly growing industry. From concept to cooler, CAPS offers solutions to your packaging needs, providing mobile bottling services, technical support, keg repair,
rental bright tanks, and much more. It is their goal to help you grow your brand and your business and make your product stand out. Be different, look different. For more information, visit capsbottles.com.
All right, so since you guys completely interrupted me, I forget what we were even talking about before we took a break. So
We were talking about food and beer pairing.
oh, that's
Good
right.
job on that.
Well, no, like what specifically? You had just finished up with your pairing with the. Actually, let's open that now. And then Kelly, you were about to say something, and so hopefully you kept that in your memory of what you were going to say. That seems like a big no.
I think the big thing that we learned there is that Roasthouse Pub is also going to be be with this.
Yes, we did learn that.
Another great Frederick business, and they're paired with Jailbreak. He's got a really cool name for that dish, too. The
I was
prehensile
hoping
pity cup.
someone else could read that description
It's
because
like-
there's a couple dishes that came in. I had to look up words in.
It's got all kinds of crazy layered flavors. It starts with like a phyllo dough cup and then builds from there on.
which I believe that is what a pity cup is.
That is a pity cup.
It's a prehensile
There you
pity
go.
cup layered from bottom to top with basil, bacon, cardamom, caramel roasted plantain, carrot and lemon curd, sweet potato, hash poke salad, Szechuan peppercorn, mallow meringue.
That sounds awesome.
And I now remember what I was going to say. So the way that this is going to work is we have those of you who have come to our BAM events, we always give away a glass, which is typically something like this. We're doing something different for Revive. We're trying to do something a little swankier.
What are you doing?
I'm not telling.
No straws.
No pretzel necklaces.
Socks.
And then we'll do like a 4-ounce pour for all of the 16 beers that are featured there. And we're calling it a bite or two of all of these dishes. So it is technically an unlimited sampling of both beer and food, but it's meant to be sort of these small sips and bites to pair throughout the evening. And we do have a really good mix with no effort. We didn't even try, but we actually have a great mix of sort of meat to vegetarian to seafood to even dessert. We have someone pairing a German chocolate cake cookie with an Oktoberfest.
Yeah, we've got several vegetarian dishes, several pescatarian dishes, no big overlapping proteins. That was our biggest fear, was everybody was going to say, you know what's easy? Sausage or bacon, you know. But we ended up with some really creative dishes there, and I think all of the chefs and restaurants that we're working with for this event
Kind
are
of
just
like
phenomenal.
Chardonnay barrel smoked and shredded duck confit with dried cranberry and microgreen slaw, crispy duck. Turn that mic off. Crispy duck and skin dust and duck liver crostini.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating high cuisine. I think this is going to be really, really great stuff.
Yeah, I often, like, when reading the descriptions from the beer dinners that Roasthouse puts on, I have to Google a lot of the foods or what it is, because I have just absolutely no idea what it is.
For this one, this is the first time I've seen braised filet mignon, braised and pulled filet mignon. Never heard of pulled filet mignon, but I will be having it.
Who's doing that?
I think that's Bistro St. Michael's.
Foster's on the point.
Foster's on the point.
A good
Oops.
guess.
Yeah.
So how were the
Foster's on the point should say Hagerstown paired with Antietam Brewing. Yeah. They're our westernmost participants.
how were the pairings selected?
This first year, it was kind of organically. I mean, first year doing events is typically tough. We probably should have given ourselves a year and a half to plan this thing, but it really ended up coming together in about 6 months. So what we did first was reach out to all of our gold medalists and ask them if there are restaurants near them that they have relationships with that are supporting Maryland craft beer that they thought would be a good fit, because we really wanted them to collaborate. We wanted the chef to get together with the brewer and, taste the beer and talk about it. So that's really how they came together this first year.
And then they were given free reign to just whatever they wanted to come up with.
Yeah, that's what we were kind of joking about, is we had thought originally we should give them some structure because we want to make sure that we're not going to have 16 pork dishes or,
Yeah.
something like that. But it actually ended up working out on its own.
So for yours, did you talk to can't remember what's the name of the
White Oak Tavern?
White Oak Tavern to come up with the ideas together, or was it always like what was the jumping off point for the two of you? Who came up with what was going to be made first?
I came up with the beer first, just because of the process and the time involved.
Yeah.
And it's primarily a beer event. And then I reached out to Claire, and I said, this is what I'm thinking of making. This is the beer that's going to fit this category. And I gave her the ingredient list and the suggestions. She gave it to the chef, Greg. And I sent a sample of the unfinished beer before it was carbonated, just so he could cook with it, play with it. This beer's great for steam and shrimp, by the way. So I just thought maybe just try that and maybe do a duo or a crudo or something. And he came up with his own thing on his own. So I'm eager to try it.
I'm glad that they were sort of willing participants, because I have to say, we all know that Eric makes good beer. But when he sent the first initial, like, this is what I'm thinking.
It's like, yeah.
It was a hot mess. It was like everywhere. There's every ingredient you could think of. And then he's like, but wait, it's a Pilsner. And you're kind of like, this is crazy. But they totally went along with it. And I think you actually had Jim try the wort. And he was just like, drunken noodles. It tastes like drunken noodles. We're like, that's really all we need to know. It's going to be delicious.
So from your description of it, I actually thought I was going to hate this beer.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't like spicy or heat beers.
Me either.
But this is subtle enough that it's quite nice and enjoyable.
Thanks, man.
Because it's like the typical like habanero sculpins. When I was given as an example, I can make it like through a half a bottle of that before I feel like my esophagus is going to catch on fire.
With all the beers that I try to make, I always strive for a balance. I try to look for something where you get a little bit of everything. I don't want any one thing to be the star. And especially when there's heat involved, if you get this really palate-forward heat, it'll blow away your senses and you won't be able to enjoy it. Or they'll have one sip and go, oh, wow, that's really cool. Give me a pale ale. I want this to be something that you want and, like it and want to try another one.
I think how you talked about it earlier is totally appropriate with layering all the flavor like a curry. I mean, you really do see every aspect of these flavors coming out. The citrus is awesome. Like the fact that it's there and it just keeps like brightening up the day is really, really nice.
There's a creaminess to it.
That's the
lactose, right?
The lactose and the spelt and the coconut.
Yeah, there's a creaminess to it. It's nice.
Oh, you guys are going to make my head explode. I'm so happy to get it.
So let me ask about the spelt.
Yeah.
From a nerd perspective, is that all for body?
There's body, but there's also a nuttiness that you get from spelt that you don't get from wheat. There's like it's just a different flavor that you get. It has a more, I can't really describe it. It's like a roundness of flavor. And I like it. And I had originally ordered it, like I said, I was going to do that horchata beer. And I had all the stuff lined up to do the horchata beer. And that would have been great for like the, doing the rice and the cream and the lactose. So it was sitting on the floor and I'm like, well, I'm still going to make a beer, but now I'm going to go a different direction with it.
Maybe Cupid's curse?
Perhaps.
So was the rice an adjunct or is it just there for stability in the kettle, or in the mash tun?
Well, remember, like the horchata is a rice-based beverage, so that's why I got the rice will thin it out, the spelt will thicken it up, and then I thought, well, there's rice in Asian dishes. This was kind of a weired process.
Yeah, it worked out.
I kind of just went shopping at H Mart, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to do this. So it's kind of how it happens sometimes.
It's delicious.
So what are the hours of the event?
6 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Saturday the 25th. Again, that's at the Shrine of St. Anthony in Ellicott City.
And where do people go for tickets?
Foodbeerrevive.com. Tickets are selling pretty quickly right now, so we'd like to see everybody get them as soon as possible.
And
they are only available in advance, we should say.
I was going to say, if I remember correctly, there won't be any ticket sales at the door, and even if it doesn't sell completely out.
This is a very limited opportunity in terms of attendance too. We have it maxed out at about 300 people.
Okay.
And I can tell you, for anyone who doesn't have tickets, I've been looking at this menu. I've been drooling at this menu for like a couple of days now, and it's definitely something you want to go to.
Which one are you most looking forward to?
You have to put me on the spot like that, don't you?
I've never been to Owen's Ordinary, but I love the name of that place. I don't know. I think it's the alliteration, and it just sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting, and we have 2 of our breweries won double gold. So Owen's Ordinary is one of them that's going to be making 2 dishes to go with Manor Hill's 2 beers that won.
Yeah, the gnocchi sounds really good. The Parisian gnocchi.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
I'm actually looking forward to the Union offerings because you got their brewed IPA with an oyster shooter. I love oysters. And the lemon lime sour with a rockfish tartare sounds great on a hot summer night.
Yeah,
that
so that's
really
Union
good.
with Dylan's Oyster Cellar. I think they're gonna.
What are your thoughts on brute IPAs? Do you like them? You think they're weird?
I think it's cool.
Have you made one? Are you gonna make one?
I don't know that I'll make one. I'll try one. I mean, I've never even had one, to tell you the truth. I haven't made it around. I haven't been able to escape the brewery to get out to actually get one. I get the style. I like the idea, and it seems like the polar opposite to the New England IPA, which might be kind of a cool, like, side-by-side.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I'm all for it, man. Innovate. Make something new.
Kevin Blodger dropped off. They entered the Brute IPA into the competition as well. When he dropped them off at the office the other day, we asked him just a little bit to describe it because they didn't have their their tasting notes up about it yet, and we were surprised to hear that it was 7%.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I'm excited to try that one.
I think that the dry characteristics of IPA were probably one of the things that drew certain beer drinkers to the style. So it'll be really nice to see something that's like bone dry, really nice finish that's going to kind of reawaken that whole West Coast movement from like 10, 15 years ago.
Which could serve as a crossover too. I mean, that could lure some people into the market that aren't quite here yet.
We used to call them saisons. Just saying.
Nice, super dry hopped.
Vanish has a really nice brute IPA on tap right now. The Andre V2.
I think we're going to see a lot of them. I think they're popping up.
I didn't even know such a thing existed until like a month or 2 ago.
Did you bring any of that to share?
No, I did not.
I saw Larry this morning.
Did he bring you any to share?
No, but he offered some. He said, come down, try it.
You know, you should really have
his
one.
First stop on that road trip we were talking about. Just pop down, see Larry.
You should go there and have their peach pie IPA.
Sounds good.
No, it's not good. It's amazing.
Are they legitimately now doing flights that are like a full soda box container of it? I mean, we've been there before and done flights. I think they've grown, right?
They're like...
Well, no, that's the small one now.
Oh, that's now the small one?
There's the mega flight. And I noticed it because...
I think it's 18.
No, that one is 12. Colin and I were there yesterday for a Chris Makes Colin drink. And so we ordered
You crippled him, didn't you?
Close to. Because we ordered the mega flight.
Nice.
And he was angry that I was being the adult and didn't get the giga flight. The giga flight is 24 tasters.
That's crazy.
All of which are probably exceptional.
Well, I mean, all 12 that we had were, and they only have I think 20 different on tap. So if you go with
only
that's so if you go to the Giga, you do have to double up on a couple of the. But Larry tried to tell us that those were meant to share. You're not supposed to get the Giga for yourself.
Are they all Vanish or are they guest?
Yeah, it's all Vanish.
Okay, interesting.
I shared a mega flight. Just saying. But I had enough room for a pint afterwards, so that was well worth it.
That's what we did too. But the peach pie IPA is amazing, if I do say so myself.
Hashtag affiliated.
I'm not obligated to announce any affiliation to the making of that beer, but yes, I did help brew that beer, and it's amazing. But it's mainly it was Larry, BJ, and Aaron that made it so amazing. I don't know that my carving up of peaches or the conversations of what we're going to make beforehand had much to do with the outcome of how good it was. So,
sure it did. That's the love that goes into making a beer.
There's a lot of love in that beer, and it's delicious.
Nice.
So you guys also have a few other events coming up that we want to talk about and highlights.
We do, but I'm realizing we didn't say a couple things about Revive. Can I just round it out?
Pull the mic a little bit closer to you. Don't break this one because we're running
out of microphones.
Thanks, Kelly.
Eric handed me a beer.
I mean, we have one left in the corner, but this is live. So
Blame it
I
on
don't
me.
think.
It's a bad microphone.
I don't know. I don't think. Yeah, I don't think people want to watch us replace a microphone. Wow. So try not to break that one.
I
please.
won't. I just wanted to paint a better picture of Revive because again, first time events, it's hard to show pictures or videos of what to expect. So next year,
I
hopefully,
think it's
we will
closer
have
to
a bunch
impossible.
of that. Right, impossible. So I just wanted.
Everyone, close your eyes.
Work with me here. Imagine yourself 300 acres of rolling greens just outside of Ellicott City. It's this beautiful Italian Renaissance building that's sort of tucked back off the road, so not a lot of people have seen it, let alone been able to tour it. And there's about 15 friars that live there year-round. Who will
These are monk friars, not chicken friars.
Exactly. Who will probably be joining us. We're told if there's food and beer, they will be there.
Are they all bald and wear robes?
They
Please
wear
tell me that.
robes, not bald.
They're all actually fairly young.
They're fairly young. Yeah, you can ask them when you
Very
come.
disappointing.
We should brew beer with those guys. Monks make great beer.
We do. So this event will be both indoor and outdoor. All of the food and beer pairings will be indoor, but it's really the kind of building that begs you to wander and look around. There's just a lot of really neat rooms, interesting places. For example, there is this library in there that I think is like a 3-story library with one of the ladders that goes around. It's just a great room, and we're putting our best in show, who was Evo for their Chardonnay migration, paired with Bistro St. Michael's, who will have that room to themselves. So the inside is just a really interesting place. There's an outdoor courtyard with arches and a fountain, and we're going to have the Plate Scrapers there, who are a local bluegrass band that people tend to really enjoy. And we'll have high tops and tables set up outside, so it can be both an indoor and outdoor event, and with lots of room to spread out. Like Jim and I said, we are limiting this year to 300 tickets. That's really for us to get a handle on what we can handle, what our chefs and brewers can handle, but we plan to continue this event and have it there and grow it year after year. So it's a good time to get in early and have the place to yourself.
So by growth, do you want to have eventually more beer and food pairings too, or just more people attending, or both?
More people attending. I think we'll see how this goes. I mean, I love the idea of highlighting the gold medal winners from the competition. It doesn't always line up with them having that beer available for the event the following year. So we may modify that a little bit, but I would like to stick to showcasing the different categories, or at least the styles, the different styles. Yeah.
Jim, do you want to? Who wants to talk about the other?
I have to lean way over here.
Well, you can slide that over too, but once again, don't break it because there's.
I didn't break anything.
It's the last one. I know. I was talking to Kelly.
Oh.
Kelly's the one walking through here, breaking stuff left and right.
We've got a couple of other events that the Brewers Association of Maryland is working on. We have Twist and Stout and Hops and Harvest, both taking place on September 29th. Hops and Harvest is in its third year in Columbia. We've partnered with CoFest Co. out of Howard County to put that together.
Who also does the brewery tours?
Yes, they do the Maryland Brew Tours.
Goes to distilleries on some of the tours also.
Yep, and those are segmented out by region, which is really an awesome opportunity for enthusiasts to get around and see what's out there. So we're happy to work with them again to put this event on. They're going to have 2 sessions featuring breweries, wineries, and distilleries from Maryland. Tons of vendors, bunch of food, and they have live music. Vinyl Rhino will be playing. They've got a DJ playing, and then they have a really nice family-friendly orientation there. So that'll be great. And then on the same day...
Did you say the location?
Yeah, it's at the lakefront in Columbia, and that's again on September 29th. Tickets are on sale now.
I went to that one last year. I really enjoyed that festival. I
recall talking to you about it. You did enjoy that.
I like the combination of the different segments of craft artisanal alcohol products.
It's got stuff for everybody. The other really cool festival that's going to have beer and wine is Twist and Stout, and that's in Anne Arundel County out at the Quiet Waters Park. And that's a really big event that they're planning out there. It's going to be massive space out in these really nice hills and big stage, lots of live music. There are going to be a lot of wineries and a lot of breweries at that one, also on the 29th.
Is that a new event?
Yeah, this is a first-year event, and we're working directly with Anne Arundel County Parks, or Recreation and Parks, to put that together.
Okay.
So that one's great. And then the one that a lot of craft beer enthusiasts in Maryland are looking forward to is the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival. The date's been set for November 3rd. It will take place at the Canton Waterfront Park again. We have a really great location in Baltimore for these folks to come out and enjoy beer from. I think we had more than 40 breweries there last year, and I expect that we'll see a little bit of growth on that this year.
Yeah, that's also another great festival. I would say second only to the one in Frederick.
Well, that's great because they are like sister festivals.
Yeah.
It's really awesome that we get to promote the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival as the only official beer festival in Baltimore that's put on by the Brewers Association. So that's a really nice thing to know when people are making their choices. You know, where are you going to get the most amount of impact in supporting local breweries? And it's going to be at Baltimore Craft Beer Festival.
Did you happen to see the Thrillist list recently that listed Frederick as...
Yeah, it's like the 7 small cities to know about for beer.
Yeah. So, and like, I would say it's great that Frederick made a list, but it kind of does diminish Frederick's standing as the East Coast craft beer capital of craft beer.
Just wanted, did you notice that we went from Baltimore to Frederick very quick, Chris?
Well,
Quicker than you can on 70.
Chris has a very good philosophy that Asheville is the new Frederick.
Yeah.
So that is what we're working with here. And I do think that
Asheville is the Frederick of North Carolina.
There you go. I think that there's a lot to be
but
proud of.
I really think I'm going to get T-shirts that I made.
I think there's a lot to be proud of in Frederick. It represents a good breadth of all of the different styles and sizes of breweries available to business owners in Maryland. There's all classes of license here. We've got brew pubs, we have manufacturing breweries, farm breweries. It really showcases what brewing in Maryland is all about.
Some people may say that it's even like the go-to place on the East Coast for craft beer. Some people.
Some may say that. Some may also come to Maryland for the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival, which is November 3rd, the Canton Waterfront Park.
And then return in April when it's in Frederick.
Or May.
Or May.
May.
Whatever date. I don't know.
Eric, I'm getting a slow sweat from my
like
tuck tie.
You like the heat?
I'm
What was that third one you brought with
a
you?
little bit here.
The third.
So we have anything else to cover? Do you have anything else you want to bring up, talk about?
Another thing about the Baltimore Craft Beer Fest. So one, we're actually...
Swing that
Sorry.
gently.
Can I just introduce you?
Can you move the microphone for me, Jim? Lost
There you
it.
go.
What was I going to say?
There was one more thing about the Baltimore.
Battle of the Brewskis.
I was going to talk about that, but I thought there was something else.
Other than it not being
the date
in
in
Frederick.
general. Yeah, like typically we have the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival in October, and we were just sort of pushed out of that month for a couple of reasons. Competing festivals. We're always competing with a lot of stuff the weekend that we do at the Marathon, the Fells Point Festival. So we're pushed to the first weekend in November, which I think some people were a little, worried about.
No, I like that. It's
I
still,
do too.
That's like the beginning of fall in Maryland.
No, that's like straight up fall. At that point in the year,
So
it's going to
last
be
year
cold.
it was
not
78
gonna be
degrees
cold.
on November 3rd.
It
we
was
looked
like
it up.
130 in December last year in Maryland. I think we're going to be safe to have a beer festival.
And I
in the
think
beginning of November.
Just bundle up,
we'll
you know.
have not much competition, and it's a good way to sort of end craft beer outdoor festival season. But yes, the other thing about the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival is we do something called Battle for the Brewskis. We have a competition for bands to. We try to do 3 different.
Sorry.
That's how I got in trouble last time.
Yeah, don't
She
touch
is not to lean forward to get beer. As I said, that's the last mic that they have over there left, due to Kelly.
We'll just come sit on your lap.
Yeah, we're not going to all gather around over here.
Anyway, people reach out to us, brewskibattle@gmail.com.
Can I make a suggestion for bands?
Oh, yeah.
Double motorcycle.
Well, they have to
100%.
they have to send us just an MP3 and,
I sent
and a
it to
live
you.
video.
I sent it to you last year, and you ignored it.
I did not ignore it. We had a lot of submissions
I
last
saw
year.
you bouncing around and enjoying the music during the beginning of the show.
So we want people to submit, and then we usually have about 3 people play throughout the festival, and we have people tally votes, and the winner goes home with either actual product or lots of gift certificates and things to redeem to get Maryland craft beer around there.
So double motorcycle will be out.
So last year, the Herd of Main Street won, and the winners not only get a bundle of beer, but we also book them for the Maryland Craft Beer Festival in Frederick. And I think
a good one.
Jim, this is your friend. So Baltimore Craft Beer Festival is new. How many years has it been around?
Third.
This is the 4th.
I think it's the 4th.
This is the 4th.
Okay.
So Frederick's been around quite a while. So
No, the Baltimore one's awesome too. I've enjoyed. I've been to it twice.
they're different. Baltimore currently, there's a little bit more elbow room there.
There's definitely much more elbow room at it.
Which is nice.
Things that we keep consistent are water,
Right.
green space, music, and beer, and food.
True.
Excellent Maryland beer in both.
Yeah. That's the key, regardless of the host city, Chris.
Will you have sweaters available at the Baltimore one this year?
We will
Asking
have
for
socks.
Eric.
Socks. And we talked about some
There you go again.
Mufflers?
some nitties, some hats.
Ooh.
We'll see.
So what's special about the glassware for Revive?
It's special.
All right. Do you guys have anything else you want to cover?
Can I just
Good.
talk about this beer I just poured for you guys?
Yeah.
So this is
Well, I was going to go to you next and
All right,
ask
well
you
then.
if you had anything you want to talk
that's
about.
quite all right. I'll wait.
Eric, what's going on at Barley and Hops?
Stuff.
Sorry. It's hot in the brewery right now.
You mentioned that.
Just been brewing a lot. Just, trying to turn out some fun stuff. We're brewing an Imperial Malt Liquor next week. We're going to be brewing an Oktoberfest the following week. We have a Vienna Lager that's going to be coming out shortly as a preview to Oktoberfest. I don't know, just beer stuff.
And Hopster. You just came out
Hopster.
with Hopster.
Yeah.
Which we have some in our glass that you were really anxious to talk about.
Why, thank you for that intro, Chris. That was very kind. Yeah, this is a beer that we did called Hopster. It's sort of one of these as people are discovering new styles and, trying to pioneer a little bit in brewed IPAs and whatnot. We're dubbing this one an unfiltered modern lager. So it takes the elements of a traditional continental lager and adds a little bit of the mouthfeel that you would get from a New England. This is not an IPL, an India Pale Lager that some people are doing. This is all continental hops. It's got a grist that has a little bit more milkiness to it. And then we used all Czech sauce and a little bit of debittered citra leaf just to give a little bit of a pop at the end. But it's not really... This one was tough to figure out how to categorize, so we just kind of made up a style for it. But it's really tasty.
It's
and
dry hopped, right?
Yeah, it's dry hopped with Czech sauce and the debittered citra leaf. So easy drinking lawnmower beer, but just has a little bit more character than a Pilsner.
It's a good follow-up to Tuk Tuk.
It'll just
Kinda
wash all
calms,
that heat. Yeah, bring you back to earth.
Calms everything back down a little bit.
It's nice palate cleanser and delicious.
Helps erode the sweat, the elevated heat.
It's not like unpleasant heat though, right?
No,
No,
it
it didn't.
wuss, so I'm sure the majority of people will love that. It builds, like you said. The more you drink it, the more it kind of builds in the back of your throat. And
It's like Thai
sound
food.
A little sweaty.
Yeah, it wasn't like
It was
painful.
perfect.
It was more of
delicious.
just like it feels like it kind of raises your whole body temperature as opposed to feeling like it's going to cause heartburn.
Perfect.
But I would
You're hired.
I would suggest
You're writing my next description.
I would suggest anyone who, like, if you're going to get a crowler of Tuk Tuk,
Try a
you
sample.
should also get a crowler of Hopster to take home with you.
Here's your check.
One of my favorite Thai restaurants in Frederick has like their heat scale. You go to 5. I'm into heat. can I get my noodles at a 5? And they go, you want a Frederick 5 or a Thai 5? This is like a Frederick 3. The Tuk Tuk was. So it's not too spicy.
What is is there scale 1 to 5? Or is it 1 to 10? What's their...
I don't think that they number the heat on dishes normally. I think it's just kind of like an in-house determination.
No, they definitely do. Are you talking about kilowatt?
Yeah.
Yeah, so when they go there, whenever you order something...
When I order a 5, and they say, do you want a Frederick 5 or a Thai 5?
See, whenever I order, they just ask what, like, what I want. And I think I got as a 4 or something. And, like, it's it's so good, but it is literally painful to eat.
If you're not crying when you're done with your food, then you didn't have a good meal.
I mean, I had to take multiple breaks. I was sweating. Like, I drank so much water. It was torturous, but it was delicious.
Are you a Frederick 5 or a Thai 5?
I do a Thai 5. But I would kill it with Hopster, because this would just be the most pleasant accompaniment to that dish.
It actually would, because it just completely washes away. Like, this would pair perfectly with hot wings.
You should say their name again, and we should go there for lunch.
Kilowatt. Kilowatt.
I like Thai food.
Have you ever been there?
I haven't been there.
It's really good. All right, so I think we've sufficiently gone off rails. We're probably done. And do you want to break anything else, Kelly, before we wrap up?
I think I'm good.
Just grab a chair.
Yeah.
I got one more. I'm doing something fun. This has nothing to do with this, but I live in the town of Poolesville, and tonight I'm pouring beer on a family-friendly event at Friday. It's called Friday on the Commons. Bring your kids, bring your dog. There's bouncy houses, food trucks, and there's 2 bands. It's just a fun night out. I just thought I'd let
Are
everyone know.
either of them double motorcycle?
I don't think double motorcycles on the bill, but
they're playing at the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival.
Right on. Baltimore, not Frederick, right?
Not at the Frederick one. Maybe we'll work on that for next year.
If you go to Poolesville tonight, ask for Eric specifically. He's a hell of a guy. He's a good guy to meet. Say hi, drink his beer.
I'm the one pouring the beer.
Order a Tuk Top and then follow it up with a Hopster.
I will have Tuk Tuk.
You'll be
tonight.
happy. We have Hopster.
I don't think they order Hopster. It's Tetzelworm, which is the Hefeweizen. Catoctin Clear, which is our Helles Lager, and then there's I don't remember the other one. I'm drawing a blank.
Right,
there's
Jim,
5 beers. I know.
Can I ask one question of Eric about the competition?
This is not your show.
Wow. All right. Thanks for having us. See you next time.
All right, so I'll allow it.
What category were you most excited to enter a beer in this year in the Maryland Craft Beer Competition?
What did he enter?
I don't remember.
He entered in like seven or 8 categories easily.
I don't remember. Well, you said I could put in up to 10, and I think I put 10 in. So I don't know. We have a pretty good Vienna lager. The Tuk Tuk is just wacky. I just want to see what they say about it. I don't know.
I have to say, too, if there is an overachiever in how to submit beer into the Maryland Craft Beer Competition, it's Eric. We're going to have to do a public shaming to a lot of our members. We couldn't believe how many we got that had zero way to identify them on the bottle. Eric not only prints the appropriate paperwork that goes with it, but then laminates it.
The ink runs when they sweat.
It does. And attaches it to the can or to the growler.
Double rubber bands.
Right.
Not double motorcycle. Double rubber bands.
I'm type AAA, man. Give me a break. I do everything that way.
We're gonna have
You should see how I fold my laundry.
We're gonna start a new award this year for best package delivery. And
I want to make it easy on the people to figure out what it
I think
is.
Eric should run a training session.
yeah, there you go.
I will annoy the hell out of
as part of
everyone
the
in there.
competition committee, we'll film you getting beers ready for submission, and we can turn it over to everybody else.
I'll be shot in the back on the way out the door.
Jim, do you want to give a rundown of all of the events, the dates, locations, all that important information?
Maryland Craft Beer Competition tomorrow, Saturday.
Well, no one goes to that.
August 18th is the judging. We will be announcing the winners to the public on Saturday, August 25th at Revive. Get your tickets to that today, foodbeerrevive.com. We then have a couple of great events coming up
Do you
in
have
September.
to put in www first?
No.
Okay.
September events on the 29th. We have both Twist and Stout taking place in Anne Arundel County, and we have Hops and Harvest taking place in Columbia. And then November 3rd is the Big Brewers Association of Maryland official event in Baltimore. It is called the Baltimore Craft Beer Festival, and that takes place on the Canton Waterfront Park. Tickets are on sale for that, and the website is updated.
So come out, enjoy great beer, see Double Motorcycle perform. All right, Eric, thank you for bringing your beer. You proved to be much more worthwhile than just free beer.
Thank you.
So you undersold yourself.
Thank you for the invitation. I enjoy being here.
And thank you, Jim mainly Jim, because he didn't break anything, for coming out to talk about all the great events that BAM has coming out.
May I just say, it's hard enough to be a woman in the beer industry.
I don't know.
You gave her the crappy mic.
I don't know what
you guys did that.
I don't know what your gender has to do with breaking equipment.
You set her up to fail, Chris. I mean, come on.
Set me up to fail.
These microphones are gender neutral.
The cords are not.
There's nothing about them. All right. On that note, thank you everyone for watching and listening. I'm sure you enjoyed this immensely. Thank you, Kelly and Jim and Eric.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers to Maryland beer.
Thanks a lot.